She's the oldest roadside attraction in the United States. She's a National Historic Landmark. She's actually older than the Statue of Liberty and older than the Eiffel Tower. Not many people know that fact, but we just say she's the cutest elephant in the world. Lucy was the brainchild of a developer entrepreneur from Philadelphia whose name was James Vincent DePaul Lafferty Jr. It's a lot. Anyhow, Lafferty owned much of the real estate that was in this part of the island, and he thought that because Atlantic City had just become this new seaside resort with train service that had just started from Camden to Atlantic City, if he built this crazy giant elephant, that curiosity seekers would come down from Atlantic City and he could sell his real estate holdings. Lucy was built here in Margate, then called South Atlantic City. She was actually built on the beach at Cedar Grove Avenue in 1881. Lucy was the first elephant that Lafferty built, but he actually built two more. He built Elephantine Colossus in Coney Island, which was a 12-story, 35-room elephant in Brighton Beach. That one burned down in 1896. And he built a smaller one in the southern tip of Cape May called Light of Asia, which fell down in 1900. So today she is the only one. Lucy has been many things throughout her lifetime. Originally built as a real estate marketing tool and a real estate office. In 1902, she was a residence to a doctor and his family from England. 1903, she was a tavern. And from 1904 all the way up to the present, she's been a tourist attraction. Lucy has suffered a lot in her 138 years of life. In 1903, when she was a tavern, she was lit with kerosene lanterns. It's not good to mix kerosene lanterns and people drinking. It's not a good combination. So they started a lot of little fires, and that's why that stopped after 1 year. And in 1929, an unnamed hurricane, she sunk to her knees in sand. Then in 1944, Margate lost her boardwalk, but Lucy really was unharmed. 1962, during the March storm, the famous March storm where the island was completely flooded, nothing really happened other than sand damage. And then the one that everybody remembers is Hurricane Sandy. Believe it or not, Lucy was high and dry. She had 4 inches of water in her feet, and other than that, she was fine. Lucy has had several periods in her life of major renovation or reconstruction. The most significant one would have been in 1970 when Lucy was moved to her current site. Lucy had been condemned in 1962, totally in disrepair and unsafe for people to walk through. She continued to deteriorate for 7 more years until 1969 when she was scheduled to be torn down. A group of people heard about it, said we can't let that happen. They formed the Save Lucy Committee, which is the nonprofit that restored her and still operates her today. They raised the money to moved it to the site she's on now, and that initial restoration started in 1970. It took 4 years to stabilize the structure to make it safe enough for people to walk through. So it was reopened to the public in 1974, and then restoration continued all the way up to 2000. The reason it took so long is because we're basically self-funded. We can only do work as we raise money. So that initial restoration from what she was into what she is today took 30 years, $1.5 million. Then after that, in 2007, Lucy was hit by lightning. And then again in 2008, she was hit by lightning. So anybody that tells you lightning can't strike twice in the same place, they're wrong. After the first lightning strike, we had to take her riding carriage off of her back, set it to the ground, completely rebuild it, and then put it back. In 2009, there was a windstorm that came up, unforecasted, and there was a tent on the grounds here for a party that we were doing. The wind lifted the tent, smacked into her butt, broke her tail. That was a $162,000 repair. So over the years, it's been these freak weather-related things that have been most significant other than the major restoration. The challenge that we face is her exterior skin. It's sandblasted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so the paint that's on her, it doesn't hold up very long. Right now, we're faced with our next major capital campaign where all of the paint on the monument has to be stripped down to the bare metal completely. Then she has to be rust-proofed and recoated. That's a 2-year project that's going to begin in the spring, and it's estimated to be about $500,000. As I mentioned earlier, we're pretty much self-funded, so we can only do work on her to maintain her, capital improvements on her, as we raise money in the gift shop through sales of Lucy merchandise, tours of the monument, and outright donations. Lucy's biggest fundraiser every year is her birthday, which is July 20th, or the Saturday closest to July 20th. Historically, we've done a carnival every year, a themed carnival. This year it was Back to the Future, and we did a spoof on the movie because we're going back to the future, celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Save Lucy Committee. Margate is not a tourist destination. Margate is a residential community. So we need to be very aggressive in our marketing campaign to let the people who come to visit the greater Atlantic City area and Wildwood and Cape May and Ocean City that A, Lucy's here, and B, she's worthy enough to come and see her to make the drive over. Lucy's extremely important. Lucy is what makes Margate unique and what makes Margate different. Without Lucy, Margate is just another oceanfront community on the Jersey Shore. Lucy is so unique. There's nothing like her on earth. Most interesting fact about Lucy is she's a boy. Well, you want me to tell you why? Okay. There are 2 species of elephants. There's African elephants and Asian elephants. Lucy was fashioned as an Asian elephant. And in that species, only the male elephants have tusks. And Lucy has tusks. So she's a boy. And if you look at all the historic documentation, when Lafferty first built the elephant, it's always referred to in the male gender. So we know, she is whatever you want her to be, but she's a boy elephant and the world's largest drag queen, I guess.